What's up, everybody? Welcome to Narco Cop MMA, and this is week one of the Dana White's Contender Series for 2024. I'm your host, Mike, along with my co-host this year, Pepe Silva. What's up, Pepe?
What's good, bro?
10 weeks, bro. We got 10 weeks, fucking 10 weeks of fights on Tuesday, which is always nice. This first week, actually, some really good matchups, I think. How do you feel about this first week here in Dana White's Contender Series?
Yeah, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it. You know, anytime we get more cards to bet on, more opportunities. I'm easing my way into it. You know, I'm not gonna go crazy firing. This year has been pretty tricky and difficult, so I don't want to overexpose early, but I am going to develop a goal for the end of Contender Series as far as how much profit I want to make by the end of it. I'm not going to force things. I think in reviewing my stuff over the past year, my biggest hole, I think, would be forcing bets like later in the week when, usually my best reads are early in the week. And, I think you could probably relate with this where like we look so deep into every fight. We want kind of a piece of every fight because we spend so much time thinking about it. And a lot of times, that it can really put a hole in your profit. So I'm going to try to be very selective this year. People like you and I, it's not like we're just throwing like $100 on a fight. Like we're really investing. So, but I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
Yeah, for sure, man. I love the Dana White's Contender Series. Been doing it for a while now. I think this is going to be year number 4 for me. And I've had one losing year, a couple of really good winning years. Last year was good, about 20 units, I think, overall in profit last year. So that was good. The one part of Dana White's Contender Series that I see most value for me, and obviously, like my show is based on props, like my other show, but I always see mispriced props a lot more so than the money. Like, yeah, money lines are going to be mispriced probably on openers. But by the time fight time rolls around, most of the prices are probably close to accurate, right? But props, in the sense that, when they're putting out these prop odds, they really don't have much data like UFC fights, right? They don't know. It's a bunch of regional guys coming into, Dana White's Contender Series, and the props seem to be off for me all the time, usually on these cards. So, I'm going to wait for the domestics. Hopefully they open up some props. I'm going to have some looks there. But yeah, man, forcing bets, like you said, it's like the thing, like you mentioned, like a human mind. Like I spent so much time on this card. How come I only have 2 bets? I spent so much time on that card. How come I only have fucking 3 bets? And it's like, then you try to dig more and deeper and deeper. When initially you told yourself when you taped the fight, you're like, oh, no, this is a pass. And then all of a sudden on Friday, you're like, oh, no, there's probably some value here. Like, know.
So, and I think a lot of it for me is sometimes is FOMO. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to miss out on this prop that's like super big. But then if that keeps happening over and over, it's cutting a lot into your profit. But
yeah, I think 100%.
I think what I'm going to do this season, at least my plans for now, is I don't think I'm going to play anything too early because – the market isn't that big for these fights, and there can be a lot of late steam, late movement. And I think, I know you said the prices are generally pretty accurate money line wise, but I do think you can catch some day of wide lines. And a lot of these fighters don't have huge careers or anything. So I think I'm going to do like initial tape for all the fights, and then I'm going to retape it later, like a couple days later, like maybe day before, like today. I'll do most of my tapes Saturday or Sunday, and then tape them again on Monday for inclinations, and then probably wait to play either Monday or Tuesday money line sides.
Yeah. Another important aspect before we start, I think it's a really important aspect for Dana White's Contender Series. I think the weigh-ins actually matter a lot more than UFC, like regular cards, because you have a lot of people flying in from all over the place. You have people that's never fought out of their country. Things like that are very freaking important. And we see a lot of these guys absolutely look like total dog shit when it comes to the weigh-ins. And I think it's important for Dana White's Contender Series. I don't have like specific fights, but I remember betting based on what happened at weigh-ins, and I think I've been pretty accurate with it.
Yeah, the big one has always been Eduarda Mora when she was just
huge.
over. I don't think anyone really knew how big of a size advantage that she had, but then, you know, everyone just piled onto her when they realized like she was in a weight class bigger. And, you know, it happens for UFC too. Like I played Damon Jackson last week, and, you know, whether Chepe missed weight or not, the fight probably wouldn't have gone the other way. Maybe not, but I would not have played Damon if I knew Chepe missed weight by 5 pounds. I'll tell you that. So sometimes it's nice to have all the information before you play.
100%. I actually used to make bets only after weigh-ins. I literally only made bets.
It's not a bad way to go.
Then I was missing a lot of value, you know, because if I like something, then the line's getting crushed. Now I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I just lost 80 cents or 70, you know.
Well, as Ozzy says, I'd rather be right than early.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Let's start off here. We have 153 people in here already. First fight of the night. It is in a flyweight division, probably the best fight of the night. It is the 6-0 Antoine Ho versus the 6-0 Loner Kavanagh. And Pepe, we'll let you start it off for the first fight of the year here. Probably one of the best fights of the year.
Yeah, man. I haven't gone through every week, but I've skimmed through a bunch of them. And as far as just this card in general, I think these are the two best prospects on the card, pretty much by far, in my opinion. I don't really see too much UFC success for any of the other prospects on Dana White Contender Series Week 1 other than these two guys. And I think they're both UFC caliber, honestly. So as far as Kavanagh, he seems like the more technical striker. He's very small, though. He's only 5'4", and he's been rocked in multiple fights. I like his overall game, though. He's got power. He can strike from both stances. Got a really nice check left. They both have a nice check left, but I think Kavanagh is the cleaner striker. I did like his wrestling in his last fight. You know, when he needed to win the fight and just grit it out, he was able to get some takedowns and get some grappling positions. And what I noticed from Ho is that, dude, this guy goes down really easy. And that's the thing that I dislike about him the most, is how easy it is to take him down. But I do think he has a lot of upside in this matchup. He's a dangerous striker. I think he can rock Kavanagh. I'm not that impressed with Kavanagh's strength of schedule on Cage Warriors. On the amateur scene, he had some spotty results. So, you know, Ho at 23 years old, he's a little bit bigger. He's coming from a good gym. I like the MMA lab. He can switch stance strike. I think he has maybe even more power than Kavanagh even has. I think Ho is the side. I'm deciding whether I'm going to make a play on it or not. The only thing that I didn't really like I said, was he can be taken down easy, and Kavanagh looks pretty physical. He looks like he's a little more physical than him. I think he's going to be able to get him down. But the thing is, Ho is very scrambly. Like, he can force some good scrambles, you know, maybe get Kavanagh in some potential submission attempts. So overall, I think I kept Ho at like mid 40%. And so I do think there's a little bit of value. I don't know how much. I'm still weighing whether I'm going to get involved. What about you?
Yeah, man, I taped this one very early, but I did like one of those like small tapes. Like I taped a couple of fights on each side really quick. And I came out thinking, I'm going to pass. But the line at that point was 215 or 210 on Ho, right? Then like a little bit later, like I taped it more in depth and I'm like, fuck, man, I missed out on a good line. I should have bet that. And part of the reason is I think you hit it on the head. Like, technically speaking, Loner Kavanagh's the better fighter, like technically, right? But there's a lot more than just technical fighting, right? Durability is one, explosion, athleticism. I think both guys have athleticism. But honestly, when I look at both guys and I watch their tape, the one thing that sticks out to me is when you talk about a dog, a guy that just wants to keep coming and keep like winning, I feel like that's more of Antoine Ho. Like, I think he's more of a dog of these two guys. Like, I'm watching Kavanagh and I think he's very good, but I also see him getting rocked and dropped by this Silva guy. Yeah, this Silva guy is 6-0. But come on, man. The guy is not really good. He's doing all these jumping shit, jumping knees, spinning back fist, right? But he landed an overhand right and dropped Kavanagh, right? And Antoine Ho is extremely explosive, man. You don't want him to land like one of those big shots on you. You're probably going to go down and out. So the other thing is, you mentioned that's absolutely accurate, is I wrote it down here, is Ho's takedown defense is not very good, right? He gets taken down, but his scrambling ability is extremely good. So when I look at, a lot of people are talking bad about the Sanson fight, but Miguel Sanson's a motherfucker with the wrestling, man. He'll keep coming, and he pushes a crazy wrestling pace. And honestly, in some of those wrestling sequences, he out-grappled Sanson. So, the question marks that everybody had prior to the Sanson fight was, can this guy grapple? Like, can he just, be muscled down to the ground and not do shit about it? But those questions were kind of answered against Sanson because he out-grappled him in a lot of those sequences, right? And he also has a sneaky submission game, man. The knee bar that he pulled against that Mongolian guy on LFA was sick, man. Really nice knee bar. He also had a submission attempt against Sanson, and Kavanagh can offensively grapple, but I honestly believe that when Antoine Ho decides to go and wrestle, he's gotten everybody down, dude. Like, I really truly believe he can get Kavanagh down too. And the thing you mentioned is the size. He's a big dude for flyweight, man. This guy's a big guy, and Kavanagh looked a bit smaller than he was. So for me, it's like those things matter. And then one thing that I wrote down here that I disliked with Kavanagh a lot is the clinch work, man. This last guy, Silva, absolutely beat him up with elbows and knees in round 2, and he hurt him in round 2 with elbows. So it's like, I've seen Antoine Ho in a clinch. He looks pretty damn good. And I've seen this other guy in a clinch, and he looks pretty damn bad. So I think the clinch is going to matter a lot here. I think Antoine Ho can honestly beat him up in the clinch if they get there. So, yeah, for me right now, I don't have a bet. I wish I would have bet that 2XX on Ho. That's way gone, man. I missed that. I regret it. But, yeah, right now it's a pass for me. If I leaned anywhere, it's dog or pass. I don't want to lay this. The other thing that you've mentioned this before, I'm pretty sure, and I've mentioned this a lot. I'm very bearish on these Cage Warrior guys, man. They've come continually being pumped up, this and that. They come into the Dana White's Contender Series, they shit the bed, right? Maybe this guy's different. I don't know. But, wrestling in America and wrestling in, out there, it's a little different.
Yeah. And another thing is they have to travel a bit more. I don't know if Kavanagh has ever fought outside of the UK. And then, obviously Ho is over there in Arizona. He's used to the heat. I kind of think Ho has the higher upside too, like career-wise, because Kavanagh kind of seems capped at just his skill set seems kind of capped at flyweight. Like, I don't really see him pulling away from anyone too much. Whereas I think Ho is going to be the more dangerous finisher, and he's only 23 years old. I know Kavanagh is only 25 too, but I don't know. I think I kind of see more upside with Ho moving forward. We'll kind of see how he does against really good wrestlers. Obviously, he's got a lot of room to improve, but he's at a good gym. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a close decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this guy started his martial art career pretty late from what I listened to his interview. Like, this guy was skateboarding in a fucking skateboard park and then finally took on MMA, I guess. I don't know, probably as a teenager. Yeah.
Oh, really?
He was a skateboarder. That's what he said. And yeah, I mean, the guy is super athletic too.
It's not a bad base for MMA because Marino Rodriguez and Peyton Talbot are big skateboarders.
How about Marcus McGee? You forgot
Marcus McGee. Yo, they probably skateboard all the time down there.
He got asked. He's like, "Who's better at skateboarding, you or Marcus McGee?" He started laughing. He's like, "I'm not even close to him."
McGee's so like good. In his mid-30s, bro.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Fight number 2. It is in the featherweight division. It is the 7-1 Jose Miguel Delgado versus the 8-0 Ernie Warez. And this, the price right now we have is about -310, -320 on Delgado with a comeback of about 240 at best. on Ernie Warez. And this one's a little tricky too, in the sense that Delgado took this fight on pretty short notice. He recently fought on LFA, looked really good. I was actually at the card for that one. He looked really good. The one thing that sticks out with Delgado is the guy is just a volume striker, man. He throws with decent power, but he throws a shit ton of strikes, a lot of body kicks, a lot of kicks in general. He's a high-paced fighter. He wants to drown you in these fights later. He's got third-round finishes in a couple of his fights. And apparently, I talked to some of these guys at MMA Lab, and the guy's a purple belt on the ground, but supposedly he's a BJJ black belt level on the ground. He's really, really good on the ground. So he's extremely dangerous, and you could see it. Like, he's pretty damn good on the ground. He knows what he's doing. But he did get dropped in that Romo fight. I don't know if you got to watch that one. He got dropped early in round 1, but he came back and pretty much beat him up really, really bad to finish him in round 3.
It kind of seemed like a random clip.
It was. I mean, the guy seems to be extremely tough too.
Mm-hmm. They both do.
Yeah, and he's from MMA Lab. So it's like, those guys, the one fight he lost, it's just he faced like a high-level wrestler, a D1 wrestler, All-American, I believe, in Chris McCate, and just he got grappled throughout the fight, Ernie Warez is not that guy. Ernie Warez wants to trade. He's kind of built like a small tank, bro. Like, this guy comes forward, throws punches and combos, which I really like. Seems to have decent power. I don't like his grappling, honestly. He's gotten fights to the ground, but he loses position so damn much. Over and over again, I've seen this guy lose position. So his grappling definitely, I mean, as far as BJJ, definitely needs to be worked on. I also don't like his shell guard. You know how he always, like, when people start throwing at him, he'll just shell up and let them throw. And I don't like that. He's been rocked multiple times. That's the thing. Like, you've seen him hurt many times, but he's tough. He's definitely tough. And he comes back, he throws it. The other thing with him is, I do think he's faced a much better level of opposition. Some of these guys are much better than what Delgado has faced. But, and this is a big but, like, this Ignacio Ortiz fight that they have a split decision win for him, it was a total robbery, dude. There's no way Ortiz lost that fight. But this guy's an A1 guy, or he's a hometown guy. They gave it to him. There's no fucking way. I thought it could have been 30-27 Ortiz, and somehow they gave it to this other guy, Warez. I think it was kind of a bad look, honestly, because I look at Ortiz and what he did, Pepe, and all he did was spam punches, kicks. He kept coming forward. The volume was there. Very freaking similar to what Delgado does. So that's why I think this is kind of a bad matchup for Ernie. And I do think Ernie slows down a bit later in fights. He doesn't really like that pressure and volume coming back at him. And Delgado's going to keep that coming, man. So for me, I can't lay this type of price, obviously. -300. I'm not touching that short notice guy. But I do think Delgado probably wins this fight. I just think he has more tools. I think he's the better grappler. And honestly, if he gets it to the ground, with all the mistakes I've seen Ernie Warez making, he might even be able to get a sub, honestly, off of him. So
yeah. I was thinking that the submission could be sneaky for Delgado, but it looks like it's been hammered already. It opened up at +500. It's already down to +250, dude. So that sucks, because you can't even play it at that number, because he can win by decision. He can win by knockout. He can win by any method. And I agree with you completely. I have the same read on the fight. The Ortiz fight, like, Delgado is just a better Ortiz, in my opinion. Like, they have a similar style, similar striking. Warez has shitty wrestling. I don't like his wrestling at all. So he's not going to be able to do what McCate did. But I do think Delgado, if he gets signed to the UFC, he could get exposed pretty bad. Like, anytime he fights like a good wrestler, because he showed a huge weakness in that fight. And, I know he's kind of young, he's 26, so he can make improvements, but it was definitely a big red flag. And I was looking for a reason to play. I was looking for a
Ernie?
reason to play Warez, but I couldn't get there, man. Honestly, his wrestling wasn't good enough. He's kind of a punching bag on the feet. He's tough. They're both game. They're both tough. They're gonna swing it out. I just think Delgado is much cleaner on the feet, and I don't really see too much grappling success from Warez. But yeah, I'm not gonna lay the money line. I saw if the line came in a bit, I might play it, but not even like it's not really a fight that I'm interested in laying juice on. I just don't think that there's value on the dog. I don't see the dog winning.
Yeah. I kind of like violence in the fight, but then again, I could see where both guys are so damn tough. It can drag out and I get screwed. But I was
Well,
looking. What
yeah,
is it?
go ahead.
I was looking at the violence ticket, but I didn't play it. I'm waiting kind of for domestics, see what they're going to offer us. But maybe if they give us a nice plus money, I might take a stab, but probably not going to happen, honestly.
Yeah, dude, I could see Delgado getting a late KO.
Yeah, I think he's the one thing he has is a big edge on is I think is the grappling and the cardio. I think his cardio is on point. This guy.
Who, Delgado?
Yeah,
Yeah. And the way Ortiz was just walking Warez down.
it was bad.
Yeah, like he cooked him, and like he's not even that good. But
Ortiz was small in that fight.
Delgado's got good shot selection too. He works the body. I could see him getting an attritional finish down the
Yeah,
stretch.
kicks to the body. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. 328 people rocking with us already. Let's move on, Pepe. Fight number 3. It is in the light heavyweight division. It is the 12-1 Bruno Lopez versus the 13-2 Mikel Sazhanyani. Yeah, you kicked this one off. Bruno Lopez is back for his second fight.
Yeah. So for this one, I was kind of hoping that more dog money would come in and that I would be able to get Lopez at like minus 150 or whatever, because I heard some people talking and there was money coming in on the Georgian guy at first. So I was, people were saying it should be a pick 'em fight. And, I went into tape and watched all of his stuff and stalked him on Instagram and everything. And the read that I got from him was that he's kind of fraudulent, potentially fraudulent can crusher that, could easily get exposed by most LFA level light heavyweights. And, people want to shit on Lopez because his striking defense isn't that good. And I agree, he doesn't have good head movement, but he's got better jiu-jitsu, that's for sure. His wrestling isn't that bad. Like, I think he could out-scramble this guy, get a late submission for sure. His striking, his defense is, like, he's pretty slow, but he's got some power on the feet. I think he can crack Mikel. This one's tough as far as, like, a total, though, because I get why people would want to play the under. It's Dana White Contender Series. People are chasing contracts and they love finishes. But both guys are, I don't know. I don't have a great read on if it's going to be a quick finish or if it draws out a little bit. Obviously, the Saziani look against Taha was really bad. The way how quick he gave up that submission, and Taha's shown to be pretty fraudulent. But on the feet, I don't think it's like a blowout or anything. So that's why I think it could be competitive. Mikel, he's got good leg kicks. He's pretty quick on the feet, got some good spinning back kicks. He seems to have decent power in his hands. And with Lopez's lack of head movement, and I think Saziani might be faster than him early. As the fight goes on, I could see Lopez taking over kind of thing. But Mikel can be taken down very easily. And Bruno actually has decent wrestling. He's gone to it multiple times in LFA. I could definitely see him taking Mikel down and either riding top time or working ground and pound to open up submissions. So overall, I favor Lopez quite a bit, and I'm going to stay away from the dog in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, at first I thought I was gonna stay away, and then I did more tape, and actually line came down. I wasn't gonna play Lopez at -2xx, but then the line got shot down, and I saw 170, and I'm like, okay, this is a good entry for me. So I entered at 170 on Lopez, and the whole reason for me is you nailed it, man. I honestly think this Mikkel guy is a fraudulent can crusher. Like, what does he do well? Yeah, okay, he gets people down and has like a good blast double or something, right? But he does nothing when he's on the ground. Like he sits in guard. He tries to go ground and pound. He loses position a shit ton. Specifically in the fight against that Kalmoldin Mamajanov. He looked awful in that fight. He got hurt, by the way, multiple times in that fight. He lost position multiple times in that fight. And that guy is frankly not good at all, the guy he fought. And, you know, just of recently, the Christian Torres fight, this Christian Torres guy should not be fighting at 205. He looked fat as hell. It's a double knockdown with both left hooks. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I did. And that guy was tiny.
Dude, tiny. He's not supposed to fight at 205. It's a double knockdown. He starts running away after they get up. After he gets hurt. Just a terrible, terrible look, man. And you know, Bruno Lopez, yeah, did he get knocked out by Ribeiro? Sure. But Ribeiro's a way better striker than this guy. Ribeiro's punches are straight, you know, and he's got fucking 82-inch reach. I mean, the guy has absolutely fucking, you know, go gadget arms. And he landed some big shots early in that fight. And Bruno Lopez honestly took him really well, called him on, and then got knocked out right after that. You know, he ate a huge shot after.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what the stats are on when they bring back a fighter for the second time on Contender Series? Because I haven't looked into it, but I think it would be a useful thing to have because it kind of seems like a pattern that they're continuing to do.
Well, I know Stephen Wynn lost his second fight, but they brought him on for a third fight, so they must have really wanted him, right? That tells me that they really wanted him in the UFC. There's no way a guy loses twice and then you bring, or no, he didn't get the contract the first time. I think he lost once, then he won the second time, didn't get the contract, and then came back a third time and then eventually got the contract.
Yeah.
But I just cannot see how the UFC would want a guy like this Mikkel guy. He's got like no skills, man. His striking, honestly, his best attribute is maybe his leg kicks, but these punches are like literally overhand windmill. They have power on him. Don't get me wrong. He's throwing from the hip, but technically speaking, he's fucking awful, man. He's awful. And I don't like his striking. I don't really like his right. You said he can get taken down. I mean, the other thing is in that Mamalajan guy, that fight where he finished in the second round, he almost got armbarred in that fight off bottom. And you know, that Murtaza Talha guy subbed him off bottom with the armbar. Even if he gets a takedown here, honestly, Pepe, I think he's going to get subbed by Bruno Lopez. Bruno Lopez is a legit black belt. I think he's going to sub him off bottom, even
if Sergey Spivak can sub Tybura from bottom, then Lopez can.
Please don't remind me of that shit. But yeah, at the end of the day, I really believe that, you know, Bruno Lopez, I don't think his chin is as bad as it's made out to be. I think he's fine. He's eaten a lot of shots, man. Ribeiro hits extremely hard. Whether you think the guy's a bum or not, he's got a ton of power. He's got good striking. You know what I'm saying? And he's very long. So for me here, I like Lopez. I think he's going to get a finish, honestly, whether it be ground and pound or submission. You know, this guy's never really been tested against almost nobody, man. I mean, these guys are a bunch of can crushers. You know, the one guy that he fought that's semi-decent is this Murtaza guy, and he got subbed instantly in round one. Yeah. So that tells me that this guy's not very good. Bruno Lopez has fought way better competition. Even Marcus Brigao, that guy that he fought last, is way better than anybody this guy's, you know, beaten. So, yeah, I like Lopez here. Obviously, now the number's blown out a little, over 200. Yeah, I wouldn't play him at this point because I passed when it was here. But I think he wins here. I think he gets probably a finish, maybe possibly later.
The other thing I will say is, both of us have been pretty harsh on the Mikkel side, but I will acknowledge he's only 26 years old, so there's definitely room for
But
improvement.
do you believe
For
that?
sure.
Honestly, do you believe this fucker's 26? He looks a lot older than 26.
He does look older, but
Maybe he
I
is.
don't know how I found that out, but yeah,
No, he is. No, you're right. You're right. He is young. Like it was
I
in one of the
couldn't
fights, they posted his age.
I couldn't find his Instagram forever. It took me a while. Somehow I stumbled upon his sister's Instagram, and she's pretty sexy, I will say that. But yeah, I wouldn't play Lopez either at this number just because of it's a light heavyweight. It's very volatile, and an under could be interesting. I was thinking Lopez round 2, but the books are onto it. It's only plus 375. If I could get a 6-1, I would be interested for sure.
Yeah, I do think Lopez has better cardio of the two. I mean, this guy looked pretty gas in that fight that he ended in round 2.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Fight number 4. It is in the welterweight division. It is the 34-8 Meng Ding or Ding Ming, whatever you want to call him, versus the 12-3 Rami Hamade. And I will kick this one off. I have a bet on Ming Ding or Ding Ming, whatever you want to call him, at minus 170. I just think he's the better fighter in general, man. This Wonder Boy lookalike of Rami Hamid, the one thing that sticks out with him is he's got really, really good kicks, calf kicks, but that's about it. I think his hands are okay, but he can get taken down very, very easily. That's one. Two, in that fight against this Elias Santos guy who was extremely, extremely undersized and should not be fighting at 70. He got clipped a couple of times in that fight, got taken down a bunch of times against this guy. Kind of a bad look. Even in his fight against Isakov, yeah, he was doing okay on the feet. But the minute the fight hit the ground in that second round, Isakov started getting on top of him and doing what he needed to do and eventually armbarred him. Ming Ding, honestly, I think he's impressive, man. I think he can get wins in the UFC, to be honest. And not because I'm just, saying it because, the guy has a great record or, there's one fight in particular that sticks out to me. And I don't know if you get to watch it because you have to dig a little bit deeper for the fight, but it's the Tailaki Nuraji fight. And that Turki Nuraji, if you remember, he's the road to UFC guy that looked absolutely spectacular. Super Saiyan, they called him. The guy is a crazy good kickboxer, very, very good striker. And that was a crazy war back and forth, man. And Meng Ding eventually finished him with a body kick, a nasty body kick, and made him crumble. And, his losses to this Tulazbaki guy, that 2 losses, that guy is a very good wrestler. And all he did is try to wrestle him. Wrestle, hard wrestling, and in their third matchup, you could see his takedown defense got a lot better. And you could see the improvement. And he stuffed almost all the takedowns and beat this guy up really, really bad, man. The guy just looks very mean in the cage, honestly. He wants to finish. He's throwing mean kicks. He's got good hands. One thing I did notice in the one fight is he can get calf kicked. But the guy, I've seen him, he's fought southpaw and orthodox. And honestly, he can grapple, man. I've watched him grapple in a lot of fights. He can get takedowns. And he's a fucking big dude, too.
Will he grapple, though?
He might. I've seen him grapple. Why not? Even if he doesn't, I think he just has more variety. He has more, his hands are better. He throws really hard shots to the body all the time with his hands. And I think this guy is just steadily improving, man. Remember, this guy's 29 years old with 42 fights. And meanwhile, Hamid, he's 33. He's been fucking out of the ring for 2 years. Another time before that, he missed 1.5 years. And then all he's fought is cans, man, lately. Like, what's this guy been doing in his career? Not really much, it seems like to me. And I honestly think, the late notice, it looks like he gasses as well. And this Meng Ding guy can fight for 3 rounds hard. So I really love him in this spot. Honestly, I think it should be upwards of 250 here. To be honest,
How short notice is this for Hamade?
Probably a week or less. It's very, very short notice for him.
Okay, because he looks in great shape.
He's in great. He's in good shape. The other thing is he's not even at MMA Masters anymore. He was.
Oh, he's not?
No, dude. This guy was training in a kickboxing or boxing gym. I didn't see him training at all. It was 8 weeks ago, the last post, that he's training at MMA Masters. The other ones were in like some type of ring kickboxing gym. Another one was in a garage, actually. He was kicking or hitting a bag in a garage. So I don't know where he's training at, to be honest. I have no idea.
His striking looks kind of nice in those videos.
Oh, his kicking is very good. I mean, he's a very
yeah.
good
Even
kicker.
his hands don't look half bad either.
Yeah, his hands are in fights. I don't know, man. His hands don't look great, honestly.
Yeah,
in fight.
I mean,
he can kick.
I don't know. My biggest question would be like what his cardio is going to look like in this fight. I would say
Not good.
because I will say the Meng Ding guy. I don't think I would be interested in laying juice on him because Hamade, he's obviously good with the leg kicks, and Meng Ding has those skinny legs. He's kind of heavy on his lead leg too, so I could see Hamade having success with them, honestly. And he's only fought what 3 minutes in the past since 2022. So in the past 2 years, 2.5 years almost, he's only fought like 3 minutes. So he could be improving too. You don't know if he's like not getting better or if he's improving. So I think there's some questions for me. And I know like the Isakov fight was like a really bad look, a terrible look, but he hadn't been training in the States yet. So I'm going to give him not a complete pass, but I'm not going to completely write him off for it either. And it was a while ago. So I do think that there's room for improvement, and he kind of has a volatile style where he's live for an early knockout. My biggest question will be how his cardio is going to look. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He's kind of reckless. He's been submitted a bunch of times. But I think Meng Ding, he's decent, but he didn't really look that good to me, honestly. But I have to do a little bit more tape. Some sketch, like the Chinese regional scene is so shit, though, to be honest. Like, yeah, he might have looked decent against some of these fighters, but they're pretty fucking weak competition. So I don't really want to put too much stock and just expect him to like run through, because it's definitely a volatile fight. And if you're laying minus 250 or whatever, or he's minus 185 to minus 225. Yeah, I think it's too volatile for me to get involved with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chinese, those I'm hugely against this JCK and the WLF. Like, those are probably two of the worst organizations where they pad their set. It's just that one fight that you watch against, I'm telling you, that kid is really fucking good. And he's only 23. That kid's going to be in the UFC. I'm almost certain this kid's going to be in the UFC. That fight really, really sold me on this guy, man. This kid is 11-1. This Nuraji guy, only person he's lost to is this Meng Ding guy, and it was an absolute fucking barn burner of a fight. And if you watch this Nuraji guy back in Road to the UFC, you'll remember him because he's a killer. And that really sold me on him, man. I saw the improved takedown defense in the third match against that guy that's beat him twice. And Rami just not fighting, bro. Like not busy at all. Injured. Also, he also pulled out of a Dana. I don't know if you knew this. Last season, he pulled out of a Dana White Contender Series fight because he was injured. So
yeah, I don't know what the injury is, but this dude's got dangerous striking, bro. Like he can definitely land an early knockout.
I don't know, man. That guy's chin looks incredible.
Yeah, but he's got super good kicks, and I could see a head kick or
possibly. I mean, but what's the chances of it? I mean, head kicks are like so, like head kicks.
I mean, he's a kickboxer, though.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. I hear you. I don't know. I'm maybe I'm a lot higher than what you are on this Meng Ding guy. It could be wrong. And Rami, maybe does well against him. I don't know. This Rami guy, honestly, I think Meng Ding can easily take him down if he wants to take him down. But will he do it? I don't know. Like you said, will he? Who knows? All right. Fight number 5. We have how many people? Wow, we got 448 now rocking with us. It's the main event of the night. I don't know why they have. By the way, why the fuck do they have this the main event and not Ho?
I don't know. My only inclination is that they have high hopes for Mansoor Abdul.
I guess I don't understand why this is the main event, but I mean both guys I guess are finishers maybe, or this guy's a big finisher, and Dana loves finishes obviously.
Well,
So
they ever put a flyweight fight as the main event?
I don't remember, but that fight's going to be good.
Yeah.
Maybe because they know that one's going to be more technical. Maybe not enough violence.
I feel like they put the women's fight or flyweights first all the time on Contender.
You might be right. I have to go back and look. I didn't even pay attention to that, but you're probably right. But yeah, let's move on to main event. It is in the middleweight division. It is the 5-0 Mansoor Abdul Malik versus the 6-1 Wes Schultz. And yeah, give us your take on this one.
Yeah, man, this one is kind of difficult to cap, honestly. And just because there's not a lot of footage of Mansoor, and he's only been out of round 1, never. He's never been outside of round 1, but he checks a lot of boxes on the eye test. I would say he's obviously way fucking stronger and faster than this Wes Schultz dude. Like, I don't know. I was after I taped this fight, I was thinking, I was thinking of maybe working my way to a Schultz play, honestly. But like some of the fights that he got extended in LFA, he looked really bad. Like, what was it? The Ahmed fight?
Yeah. You're talking about the Arabic dude.
Yeah, dude. Like,
he looked good. In round 3, he was fine, but round 2, he looked bad.
Well, even so, my issue was kind of like even towards the end of round 1, he's just so hittable, dude. And he lacks physicality, so it's difficult for him to impose his game. He was getting reversed like super easily in that fight. Budka out-wrestled him for 15 minutes quite easily, but I'm not gonna completely write him off because of that, because Budka fought Bakoyev in the title fight, and he was able to push his wrestling pace on him, and Bakoyev is pretty damn good. So at first I thought Schultz was a bum. Then I thought maybe he's decent. Then I thought he was a bum again. So I'm kind of all over on the place of like where I really rate this guy. I listened to an interview from him. He sounds like an airhead, honestly. They were talking about the game plan, and he was like, I'm just going to stand and bang. He's like, I think we're both going to just like meet in the middle and stand and bang. And then whoever gets rocked first is going to shoot for a takedown. Did you listen to that interview?
Yeah, it's the one who's like in his garage or whatever.
Yeah, and then they're like, he's like, yeah, usually there's like an A side and a B side for the fight. And like,
I'm laughing because you said airhead, because that's the exact same thing I thought when I was listening to this.
Yeah, because I was looking to get a bet on him, man. So I was like, listen to the interview. I want to see if he says anything intelligent, but he really didn't say anything intelligent. So and then I listened to Mansoor, and he kind of seems way more level-headed.
He's intelligent.
And did you notice Mansoor was like, yeah, my coach, Eric Nixick, is developing the game plan. And then in Schultz's interview, he's like, yeah, these are the guys I train with. We even did work at Extreme Couture in October. So it's like the head coach of Extreme Couture is now planning a game plan against Schultz.
Well, yeah, he trained. Mansoor trains there now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Schultz is trained at Extreme Couture. Eric Nixick obviously has a read on his skills or whatever. Either way, I just don't really think Schultz has the game plan or the skills to really do anything in this fight, honestly. But the big caveat and why I wouldn't lay chalk on Mansoor is the fact that he hasn't been out of round 1, and we see people. Number one, we see people death gas all the time, when they haven't been out of round 1. And number 2, he seems like a dangerous guy, and he's on Contender Series trying to get a contract. I could see him hurting Schultz and then adrenaline dumping and then end up getting finished himself. So I don't it's kind of a volatile fight just because we lack a lot of information on the Malik side, but I can't get there on Schultz. And I was really thinking that I was going to put like a big play on Schultz, but for now, I'm not going to do anything. I thought I was going to also like the over, but then, what Schultz said in that interview is not a good look for the over. So I'm not going to play the under because it got steamed too. I'll say that.
Let me see if I can help you out here. So I thought literally it's so funny you're saying all these things because I listened to both interviews like you did. I watched some tape, right? Whatever tape I had of Mansour, there wasn't a lot. And I watched Wes Schultz. And at first I'm like, oh man, this guy looks like a complete bum, right? But then in other fights, like the Budka fight, like he turned around, he won round 1. I'm like, oh wow, this guy's actually not that bad. Like Budka is a fucking hard guy to deal with in the sense that he will wrestle his ass off for 3 rounds, right? He's just gonna keep coming, right? And that fight was at 85. So Budka, I mean, he's a strong, I mean, the guy is fighting at 205. He's fucking got to be really strong at 85, But the one thing that sticks out with Wes Schultz, and I still don't understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this guy is a 3-time All-American in wrestling at UW Lacrosse, I think for 1 or 2 years there and somewhere else. That's fucking a really good wrestling school, right? And he's a 3-time. But to me, I'm looking at his takedown defense, and it's fucking awful, dude. Like, he's got, like, really bad takedown defense, but his offensive wrestling is pretty good, right? So it's like, and then I watched this Mansour guy, right? And he wrestled at Maryland, right? He was like 0-3 at Maryland. He didn't wrestle that much. But then I see his fucking, and he's way better wrestling. So I'm like, how is this guy an All-American? This other guy has an 0-3 record in wrestling, but he looks like the better wrestler to me in MMA by far, right? So I wrote down Wes Schultz plus 320. I was going to play him at 320. And then the line shot down like crazy. And it's down to like 270s now. And the reason why, Pepe, I want to play him is multiple reasons, to be honest. One, you said this is a volatile fight, right? If it's a volatile fight, I always want to take the guy that's plus 320 or 280. I never want to lay the juice on a very volatile fight. The other thing is, this guy's never been out of round 1. What the hell does his cardio look like after 1 round, right? He's never even really seen adversity, man. Like, there's no adversity in these fights. He's taking people down, and he's just smashing them, right? The one adverse fight I saw is his pro debut where he got dropped. And that dude that dropped him is awful. I just don't know how this guy dropped him. And he dropped him on his ass. And he didn't look good in that fight. He finished it later in the round, but he looked awful, man. He was getting hit a lot against this guy that I don't even know. He's like 0-2. He's never won a pro fight.
Yeah, it was only his debut, though.
Yeah, I know, but the guy he fought was so bad, bro. Like, I don't understand how you can look like that even in your debut against a bad fighter, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Schultz has way more amateur experience too.
Way more amateur experience. He's fought the better level of opposition. And that's the other thing. Mansour is very fraudulent opposition, man. Yeah. Like really, really fraudulent opposition. I was at the fights for the last one against that Alan St. Jali guy. The guy was a monster, tall, but he had no idea how to wrestle. Like none, like no clue.
That guy, he's 0-2, right?
Dude, he almost killed him with like 1 ground and pound. He was out cold. Like they needed to almost like it took him forever to wake him up, man. I was there in person. It's like what
it looked brutal. It looked
brutal. Huge fucking ground and pound, right? So the one thing I could say is this guy is super athletic, has a shit ton of power. You could see it. Like the guy he's crazy athletic, shit ton of power, very strong. All these attributes are really good for him. But what happens when adversity strikes? What happened when he's on his back and he's taken down or he's reversed? The other thing is, Pepe, Schultz has good BJJ. Like he has good BJJ, and he's at a gym that's all they train at that gym. And I've never even seen this guy defend the choke. RNC, what happens with this guy's when Schultz is on his back, you know? And it's like there's so many question marks on this Mansour guy that just off of that, I wanted to play Schultz at plus 320 because the line's just huge. And there's so many question marks on this Mansour guy. Yeah, he could be it. He could be the best. You know, he could be great. But I don't know that. There's nothing to tell me that when he's fighting absolute cans on the regional scene, you know? So right now, I don't have a bet. I think that Schultz is a bot on the feet, honestly. Like, his hands suck. Yeah. He could get probably knocked out cold on the feet against this guy. But I think he's pretty tricky on the ground. Like, even if he gets taken down, I think he's going to use the knee shield. He tries to get back up. Like, he did it multiple times against Budka. And he's going to make Mansour work on the ground. I don't think it's just going to lay there and let him lay there, right? So he's going to throw up submissions. He's going to do all of that shit. So I'm honestly like kind of on the Wes Schultz side at this price. I just don't know how do you get to this Mansour guy at this price. Like, yeah, I get he's a physical freak. He has a ton of power, but that can't get you to minus, 350 or 340,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of leaning Schultz, to be honest, just like you. And yeah, the guy's not very good, but I do think he has some jiu-jitsu skills. I do think he can wrestle up. And the one question mark is what happens when he's on top? And that's just, we do not know how this Mansour guy is going to react when someone's on top of him because we just haven't seen it. So
like if Schultz was smart, he would go like the Kazama game plan, like against Sharmampos. Yeah, like 100%. As soon as the bell rings, just get a takedown, get him against the fence. See
what he does. What does he do? Right?
What?
I said, what does he do? Just try it and see what he does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's definitely dog or pass. Shit, man, I might get there too. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look into it a little more. If Schultz didn't sound so dumb on the interview, I probably would have played a unit on the plus 275.
I don't believe him though. He's not gonna stand there and bang. This guy doesn't even throw hands, bro. I don't believe him.
Yeah, dude. His striking looks awful.
Awful, bro. Awful.
I wish.
How is he gonna even stand and bang? He never even throws hands, bro. He kicks. He's a kicker.
Yeah. I wish Schultz had better cardio. Like, it's just his cardio is not that good either. I could see a world where Malik is able to just take him down and just cruise. Kind of like. I don't
know. I did it because when the reason why I don't think so is the Budka fight. Like, he kept working back up. He reversed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So if he's doing that to Budka, like this guy, yeah, he's strong, but he's not really like a crazy good wrestler, right?
Yeah,
he's just strong. And also one thing I wrote it down right here is like who is he wrestling? Like, who is he wrestling against? These guys that he's like dominating and just ragdolling, like they're the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And
no one's giving him resistance. So,
yeah, Budka has good cardio. I know he gassed out in that last fight against Almeida, but he went 5 rounds with Bakoyev and was like able to keep up with him. So.
Yeah,
I don't know why he gassed out like that against Almeida. It might have been the body work,
dude. And I played him there. It was a terrible bet. I just didn't see him gassing out that bad, man. I did not. But
another thing I want to mention about this fight is so sometimes markets are driven by very smart inside information or tactical breakdowns. Sometimes they're driven by hype. And this line opened up on DraftKings as Wes Schultz minus 120. And it got steamed all the way to minus 350. Everyone thinks Mansour is, the greatest gift to the Dana White Contender Series Season 1. I'm not so sure. You kind of have to fade these guys who have never been out of round 1 when they're minus 3, minus 400,
Honestly, I'm the reason why I haven't played him yet is because I do believe there's going to be steam on Mansoor. Because
It's crazy because it seems kind of like a chalk heavy card, and
Yeah.
I think there's more people playing juice than underdogs on this card. So I could see parlays getting put together on the night of, and the number ballooning out to -400.
That's exactly my thought process. Like, I'm like, okay, he's at 300. They're gonna probably tag him with another 300 and just put them together in a parlay, and it's gonna keep going up. And the other thing is, you could look at it, and if you have live betting, you could try to live bet this, because probably the first round is gonna be sketchy for Schultz, right? And you might be able to get a number if he escapes that first round, and you could see a little bit of slowing down coming from the other guy. But the price is so large that I hate passing up. And then, I'm going to live bet. And then all of a sudden,
what if it turns out it's like the Kazama round one? Where
exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying.
He's muscling him around, and he gasses him out by the round, gets him into submission, like takes his back.
It sounds like we're talking ourselves into a Wes Schultz bet.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be a big one, because the guy kind of seems kind of beta, honestly.
Yeah.
Hey, what's his best win?
Who?
Schultz.
It's probably between Knudsen and maybe this Lats guy Benson, who I don't think is very good. But
no, Benson sucks.
I mean, it's probably Knudsen, honestly.
Yeah, and that guy is super journeyman, but
he's a journeyman. He's not bad, actually. That Knudsen, I mean, his losses seem to be against only good guys. He's only lost to good guys. But
I did see that Schultz beat Jordan Newman in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I just don't get it in his MMA wrestling, like his defensive wrestling. It just doesn't look good, man.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good. I don't know what it is, but I don't think he looked bad at weigh-ins. Schultz looks bad. I thought he looked. Somebody says I thought he looked good.
I mean, it's just he lacks physicality, and that's basically what we've been saying. He's not going to be like the most jacked 185er, and I think that's the reason why the line is so big, is because he's not like super strong or anything like that. So obviously he's not going to look as jacked as Mansoor, but sometimes those body types work against them when the lactic acid builds up and they can barely move.
Mansoor was the one, actually, like he made it to the scales and like he's huffing and puffing.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be way bigger.
It's a big weight cut. It looks like it's a big weight cut for him, for sure. It looks like, because he was so relieved when he made that weight. He's like, oh yes, thank God. He took a deep breath. You could see he was very happy. He didn't want to miss, because when you miss weight on these, it's very hard to get a contract, but I think the UFC now, with so many people getting cut, they're going to sign a shit ton of people, I think, from the Dana White's Contender Series. So, yeah.
I do think Mansoor is probably the A side in this matchup.
Oh, of course. I don't see them wanting to push this Wes Schultz guy, to be honest. But it doesn't always work out, man.
No, it doesn't always work out.
Last year, there was so many A sides that lost, honestly. So many. I lost track. And one of them was that fucking guy that you mentioned, Murtaza or whatever.
Taha.
He was definitely one of the A sides.
Oh, that's another one. Like, you know how I had brought up about the second time coming back? He was another one who they brought back a second time. But did they bring him back to lose, or did they bring him back to win? I guess that's something. No, his opponent.
Bellato.
Oh,
Bellato, yes. Probably to lose, to be honest. If you ask me. I mean, don't you think so? I think they brought him back to lose.
I don't. Maybe they knew this Taha guy was a bum, actually.
Who knows? Yeah, that's the thing. We can't really read too much, because we're not going to know what they're thinking. Like,
narratives.
Taha guy is not that good.
Narratives can get carried away with these with Contender Series, so it's important to keep an open mind with all the matchups and not just, have tunnel vision with them. Yeah.
Awesome first week, man. Thanks for being here. If you have anything to say to the people, you want to follow him.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I think probably everyone who's viewing is probably following me. But yeah, man, good luck this week. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we get some props tomorrow. Thank you to everybody for being here. 547 people here on a Monday night, man. Appreciate you guys very much. You guys always showing the support. Yeah, Pepe, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. I haven't looked at the card next week. Good luck this weekend as well.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what happens with UFC 305. And one last thing, let's cash those tickets for Dana White's Contender Series.